All right, welcome back to the Dental Marketing Mix, the podcast for dental practice owners who want to grow smarter and not just spend more. I'm Dan Bryan. I'm the co-founder of DentalScapes, and today we're talking about something that I think is one of the most important shifts happening in dental marketing right now. And honestly, most practices and most agencies for that matter aren't paying attention to it yet. So here's a question for you. When's the last time you Googled something and just scrolled past a big block of AI generated text at the top to get to the blue links? Or better yet, when is the last time that you skipped Google entirely and just asked ChatGPT? If you're doing that, you better know your patients are starting to do it too. And that changes everything about how you need to think about your online presence. Today, we're back at it talking about the shift from SEO, search engine optimization, getting your website to rank on Google, to what's now being called GEO or Generative Engine Optimization. It's about moving your mindset from chasing rankings to becoming the practice that AI recommends. Rankings to recommendations. These are not the same thing. And the difference between understanding that and not could be the difference between being found by the next wave of patients. Let's start where SEO has been. For the last 15 or so years, the dental SEO game has had a pretty clear objective. Rank as high as possible on Google for searches like dentist near me or pediatric dentist in Charlotte. The higher you ranked, the more clicks you got, the more new patients came in. And that still matters. I'm not telling you to abandon your SEO strategy entirely. But two things are happening simultaneously that are making the old playbook incomplete. First, ranking number one has become less meaningful than it used to be. Google has fundamentally changed what the search results page looks like. There's now an AI overview at the top of many searches, a generated summary that answers the question before the user ever clicks anything. Before that, there were featured snippets doing a version of the same thing. Add in Google Maps results, ads, and the knowledge panel, and by the time you get to the first organic blue link, the user has already been given a lot of information. They may never click at all, thus the rise of what we call zero-click searches. A growing percentage of these searches are now converting into these. The person gets what they need from the results page itself and moves on. So even if you're ranking number one, you may be getting a fraction of the traffic you used to get from that position. Second, you can't even fully trust your own ranking data anymore. Search has become deeply personalized. Google's results today are influenced by your location, your search history, your device, what Google knows about you. Two people sitting in the same city searching the same phrase can get meaningfully different results. What this means practically is that when your marketing agency sends you a report showing your rankings, those numbers are increasingly a generalization, not necessarily the full picture of what any individual patient is actually seeing when they search. Chasing a specific ranking position was already an imperfect strategy, and now it's even harder to know what you're actually chasing. But if ranking number one is both less impactful and harder to measure accurately, what should you be optimizing for? The answer is this: be the practice that gets recommended. If I can leave you with one thing today, it's to emphasize recommendations over rankings. Here's where GEO comes in. When a patient types a question into ChatGPT or Gemini or Perplexity or whatever AI platform they're using, or if they get an AI overview from Google, they're not getting a list of 10 blue links. They're getting a response, a recommendation, a synthesis, an answer. And behind that answer, the AI is pulling from sources it has determined to be credible, authoritative, and relevant. Your goal in this new environment is to be in those sources, to be the practice or the referenced expert that the AI draws from when it's answering questions your potential patients are asking. That's a meaningfully different objective than rank for this keyword. So what does that actually look like in practice? Let's get concrete here. It all starts with content authority. And I want to give you a real example of what this means because I think it's the clearest way to illustrate the gap between the old approach and the new one. So let's start with Invisalign. So many general dentists and nearly every orthodontist offers it, and almost every practice website has an Invisalign page. But there is a massive difference in quality between most of those pages. A weak Invisalign page, and I see these constantly, looks something like this. There's a headline that says Invisalign clear aligners, maybe a stock photo of someone holding a tray, and two or three sentences that say something like, "We offer Invisalign in our practice. Invisalign is a clear alternative to traditional braces. Contact us to schedule a consultation." And that's it. Maybe there's a button that says book now. But now think about what a patient is actually asking when they're considering Invisalign. They want to know, am I even a good candidate for this? How is it different from braces? Really? How long does the treatment take? Does it hurt? How much does it cost? And does insurance cover any of it? What does the process look like from start to finish? What happens if I lose a tray? Do I have to wear retainers after? These are real questions that real people are typing into Google and increasingly into ChatGPT. A two-sentence page answers none of them. A strong Invisalign page, on the other hand, addresses all of that. It walks through candidacy, who Invisalign works well for, and who might need a different approach. It explains the process step by step. The initial scan, how the trays are made, how often you swap them out, what check-ins look like. It addresses cost transparently, even if it's just a range, because patients are hungry for that information. And the practices that give it earn trust. It includes FAQs that are drawn from actual patient questions. It might include a before and after gallery with real patient photos, and it's written in plain language that a non-dentist can actually understand and connect with. That kind of page does three things simultaneously. It converts better because it answers the questions patients already have before they call. It ranks better in traditional search because it signals genuine topical authority. And here's the kicker, it gets cited and recommended by AI systems because it's exactly the kind of comprehensive, useful resource those systems are trying to surface. One investment, three payoffs. That's what content authority looks like in 2026 and beyond. Now let's talk about backlinks and citations, because this is an area where the landscape is shifting in interesting ways. If you've worked with a dental SEO agency at any point in the last decade, you've probably heard about backlinks. The idea is very simple. When other websites link to your website, it signals to Google that your site is credible and worth ranking higher. And for a long time, a lot of SEO strategy was built almost entirely around acquiring as many backlinks as possible. Sometimes this happened through genuinely useful content that earned links naturally, and sometimes through tactics that were a lot more questionable. Here's where things stand today. Backlinks haven't lost their importance entirely. They're still a signal, but the nature of what makes a backlink valuable has changed significantly. And in the AI era, the concept has evolved into something broader. Citations. In the context of GEO, a citation isn't just a hyperlink. It's any mention of your practice, your name, or your expertise across the web. In a news article, a local directory, a health publication, a blog post, a forum, or review platform. AI systems don't just crawl for links the way traditional search engines did. They're synthesizing information from a much wider range of sources to build a complete picture of who you are, how established you are, and whether you're worth recommending. Mention of your dental practice in a local news story about community health events, that matters. Being listed accurately and consistently across health grades, ZocDoc, Yelp, Google, Bing, and every major dental directory matters. Having your dentist's name appear as a quoted expert in a dental health article matters. What this means practically is that your citation footprint, the breadth and consistency of how your practice appears across the web, is increasingly important. And the old backlink buying game where someone charges you a few $100s a month to get you links from low-quality websites that have nothing to do with dentistry, that's just not effective anymore. In fact, it can actively work against you because AI systems are sophisticated enough to recognize low quality link profiles and discount them, or worse yet, penalize you. In so many cases with AI search and GEO, the shift is from quantity to quality and relevance. A single mention in a credible local publication is worth more than 50 links from random directories. Being cited in a health-focused article that's read by people in your community, that's worth more than a backlink from a blog that exists only to sell SEO links. Building genuine relationships with local media, with community organizations, complementary healthcare providers who might refer to you or mention you online. That's a citation strategy that compounds over time and holds up no matter how the algorithm changes. And reputation signals are more important than ever. Your Google reviews, the number, the recency, and critically the content of what patients are saying are now being factored into how AI systems perceive your practice. We've talked about this a lot recently on the podcast and in the Monday Marketing Rundown. A patient who writes a review saying, Dr. Smith is the best orthodontist in Denver, my daughter's Invisalign treatment was incredible, is not just helping your star rating. That review is a piece of content that reinforces your authority and relevance for specific queries. When patients use specific language in their reviews, mentioning the services you offer, the experiences of your team, the location of your practice, those signals accumulate and contribute to how AI systems categorize and recommend you in search. That's why we always tell our clients, don't just ask for reviews, coach patients on what a helpful review looks like. Not fake, not scripted, but specific. Encourage them to mention what treatment they received or what brought them in or what stood out about the experience. That kind of review does double duty as both social proof and GEO fuel. Here's the through line in all of this. What Google and every AI system has always been trying to do, even when the mechanism was just counting backlinks and keyword density, is identify the most trustworthy, authoritative, genuinely helpful answer to a question. The algorithm has always been trying to simulate trust. What's changing is that AI has gotten dramatically better at actually measuring it. So the practices that have been building real authority through consistent content, strong reviews, a clean citation footprint, and genuine community presence are going to be the ones that survive and thrive in this transition. And the practices that have been playing tricks, stuffing keywords, buying backlinks, treating SEO as a game, that window is closing fast. This isn't the future, it is happening right now, 2026. Google's AI overviews have already changed what millions of people see when they search. AI mode, or Google's move toward a fully AI-driven search experience, it's rolling out. ChatGPT has hundreds of millions of users, as does Claude, and a growing number of them are using it to make decisions about local services. The practices that are positioned well in this new environment are the ones that started thinking about this before it became obvious. And that's exactly where DentalScapes has been. On a personal note, we've been building GEO into our client strategies since the launch of ChatGPT, before AI overviews existed, before AI mode was announced, before most agencies had even heard the term generative engine optimization. It's not something we bolted on after the fact. It's actually baked into how we build content, how we structure websites, how we approach reputation management. If you're still working with an agency that's still only talking to you about keyword rankings and monthly traffic reports, it is worth asking what their GEO strategy actually looks like, because that gap is only going to grow. If you want to understand what your practice is actually doing or where it stands in this new landscape, that's exactly what our free strategy calls are for. There's no pressure, no pitch, just an honest look at your current online presence and where the opportunities are. You can book that call at dentalscapes.com/start. But I am not here to sell today. I just appreciate the opportunity to share this stuff with you. And one last thing, if you're getting value out of this podcast, it would mean the world to us if you would take just a moment to leave a 5-star rating or review wherever you listen. It doesn't take long, but it makes a huge difference. It's honestly the best way for us to reach other practice owners out there who could use this kind of help. We truly appreciate it. That's all for this week. Thanks for listening to the Dental Marketing Mix. I'm Dan Bryan, and I will see you in the next one.